What took the Jets so long to bench Zach Wilson? This is a very multifaceted issue. First, we all saw Tim Boyle, right? Like, we all saw the Black Friday game. And immediately we all should have knew that was coming, because for you to be Zach Wilson's backup all this time, there's no way he was a good quarterback. There's no way. Because if he was lighting it up in practice all this time while Zach Wilson was stinking it up out there, the Jets locker room would have caused a mutiny. Everything else after that is speculation, rumor, and conjecture. None of this has been proven as fact, but it's been said enough times where I have to mention it here. Rumor has it they did not want to bring in another quarterback, say trading for Kirk Cousins, trying to trade for Ryan Tannehill if he was available, one of those level quarterbacks, because they didn't want to make it seem like they weren't committed to Aaron Rodgers long term for the future. If y'all remember, they basically sold their soul for Aaron Rodgers in the offseason. Brought in his offense coordinator. All of Hard Knocks was dedicated to him. Tim Boyle was on the team because he was Aaron Rodgers' drinking buddy in Green Bay. Next theory, either Woody Johnson, the owner, or Joe Douglas, the GM, really wanted this Zach Wilson thing to work. Because when you draft a quarterback in the top 5, especially at 2, you are uniquely motivated to make sure you are proven correct for drafting said quarterback. Even though Zach Wilson was the most predictable bust in the history of bust. Granted, the only good quarterback from that draft looks like it's Trevor Lawrence. Trey Lance, still a question mark, and I still have faith in Justin Fields, but most people don't. So at the current moment, Trevor Lawrence looks like the only good quarterback from that draft. The last theory is he played just well enough before the bye week to justify not moving on from him. Just well enough. Speaking of which, there's a New York radio host whose name escapes me right now. I wish I would have found it before I started recording, who got a lot of heat for saying, hey, maybe Zach Wilson shouldn't be going on vacation during the bye week. You should be locked in, buddy. They called him a madman. Oh boy, was he right. He has been basura since he got back from the bye week. Oh man, he could not have been more right. Whoever that man is, I apologize on behalf of all the people that slandered you. Pretty sure I didn't, but hey, I apologize because you were 1000% right. Hopefully that answers your question. I think it's some combination of Tim Boyle was awful and the front office really wants Zach Wilson to work out so they could justify drafting him at 2. And the reason he ultimately got benched was not because Zach Wilson was the only problem with the offense, for people that are weirdly trying to argue for Zach Wilson's honor right now, which is a very weird hill to die on, but whatever, your choice. Guys, when you have a defense as good as the Jets, you have to do something. You got to do something to prevent a mutiny in the locker room. They cannot continue to see the worst thing happening on the field continuously and not do a thing about it for all season long. If you remember last year when Zach Wilson got hurt, they bought in White Mike, or Mike White, who's now the backup for the Dolphins. They were wearing Mike White t-shirts. They had t-shirts made for a backup quarterback who wasn't even that good in the first place. You know what those t-shirts really meant? Thank God you're not Zach Wilson. And they bought him back to the team anyways. That was mistake number 1. Bringing in Rodgers, they should have immediately shipped Zach Wilson out regardless. But again, ownership / GM really wanted to make that pick work, so he's still on the roster. Thank you for the question.